Hi, nice to meet you.
Why, yeah.
All right, so got to see Havoc the other day, and I
You
want
survived.
to. I survived. That might be one of the most epic intros into a movie. So I went in blind. Read a quick synopsis, went in, and it didn't hold back on jumping right into the action. Probably can't answer this question, but is there somebody with a bullet or body count total for this movie?
I was thinking the same. I'm waiting for somebody to come up with that statistic.
It's there were moments I just stopped and like I can't keep track of how many bodies and everyone had the dance death. It was so much fun. It was an absolute great popcorn movie to
Oh yeah,
watch.
man. It was like full blown, rapidly moving action.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll dive into a couple quick questions because I know we're running a little bit behind schedule. But it has quite a heavyweight list of actors in this, including yourself. Going into this with it, like with the constant action that does take place that we were just talking about, what was your takeaway of the entire cast, including the stunts that were done?
Wow. Well, it was like a lot of meticulous intensity, a lot of rehearsal. Like some scenes were rehearsed for 3 weeks before it was even shot. Just all the martial arts movements and all that stuff. And some of the scenes took a few weeks to shoot. Like one scene, that whole club scene took like about maybe 3 weeks, if not more. And because there's so many moving parts in it, so the choreography, the camera work, all that stuff had to be, really spot on and in place. And Gareth and his team and the fight coordinators, they did an incredible job. Luckily, nobody got hurt doing this movie.
It's impressive.
Um, yeah, so uh, again, it was a really, really good movie, and like so intense. Listen, the first time I watched it twice. I watched it at home the first time, and at the end, I was like, "Oh man, what just happened? That was crazy!" And then I got to watch it with an audience, and they were totally blown away by it. They totally embraced it. It's like had the elements of old school throwback kind of action movies, and so for me it worked, very entertaining.
When we first get introduced to your character, we know he's got a little bit of a criminal background there, but his sort of moral code comes out all in that fight scene inside the club. How do you approach taking a character like that? He's not technically a bad guy, but he's a bad guy. But he's not technically a good guy, but he's a likable guy that you can actually side with. How do you add that into it and be able to display it as you did in scene where a viewer can walk away with that understanding of
um
the character?
I just think it's kind of some guys that I grew up with, and you just kind of knew they played both sides, and they could be that guy that stabs you in the back, but then they can also be that guy that says, "Don't walk down that way," and they'll say something like, "Trust me," and it's like, "Oh man, what do I do?" And you trust them, and you hear the next day like, "What happened if you would have gone down that way?" And that's this kind of character. I mean, I think he's a hustler. He's a hustler. He knows a lot of stuff. Um, he's come across a lot of stuff, so he knows. But he also knows when to look out for somebody too. And I think that's an important element about this character, and it's true to form, very true to form.
They did a great job with the script of establishing your and Mia's relationship without a lot of text or a lot of context. But the moment everything starts going, you're able to jump into the story and you know exactly where you stand, which was an interesting direction. Usually it's pulled out a little bit more, but give you props on being able to do that in such a limited time. It really helped with the story movement. With that said, kind of it's a similar question, because you've played some bad guys, especially this movie reminded me a lot of Grand Theft Auto. Was it Vice City that you did
Yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah.
Um, very, very similar pace and like chaos that's happening around the city. Um, the difference of playing a villain like in the game versus the not so much villain in this movie. Do you have a preference on which ones you would rather be cast in?
Um, I always look at it as like I don't really have a preference as long as it's good work, as long as it's something that's really worthy of me doing. Um, I had mentioned earlier, I wish that back then we had deals in place when we did these video games because they have made gazillions of dollars, and as actors, we have never seen residuals from those. Not to say that I wasn't happy or proud to have been a part of it because it's something historical, you know. But I really wish that those guys, those people, had really taken care of people, because they did really well, and I don't. I feel like I just need to be a voice for that. If I had to do it again, I'd do it again because now we have deals in place to protect us. And but like I said, back then it was just pretty much straightforward, and but it's nice to be part of history.
That makes sense. It's definitely it's an enlightening thing in the entertainment industry, as is with the strikes that we've seen and such of having the creatives and the people that make this get their shares instead of the big guys at the top. So definitely we as a group we support everything that you mentioned there. That leads into my next question perfectly too, is in your opinion, there's all these new streaming services, studios, which are kind of breaking the mold of old studio work. How is it partnering with a studio like Netflix that goes to streaming faster than it does to theaters, and the whole process with this movie?
Well, the industry is changing, so you have to be a part of that change. And some movies are meant for theaters, and some movies are meant for streaming, and it's also the economics of things too. It's like if you can watch whatever you want for $20 a month and be at home with a badass sound system, you can do that and cook at home and stuff like that, and or you can go out to a theater and spend $200, you know, on one film. But that's not to say that I still love going to theaters, because there's nothing like that theater experience to have. But it's nice, I guess. The bottom line is just nice to have the options. That's all. You
Yeah.
know, and and but everything is bound to change. Everything. And so, we're at this crossroad, and um, we gotta deal with this thing called analytics now and stuff like that. But I think it's also a challenge to the community of visionaries and writers and directors to really come out with work that's worthy of, like I said, making it into a theater or making it into a streaming. But it all it all depends. It all depends on who's doing it and why.
Yeah. Well, this movie definitely is one that if you're able to see it on a big screen, do it. The chase scenes and the fight scenes are, like I said, they are bonkers. They're so
Oh yeah.
so
Oh
fast
yeah.
that I have a feeling that it would probably take my excitement level 10 times higher than it already is of
Oh my
having people
God.
cheering in the seats by me and just watching. There's a scene with a washing machine that when it happened, even on my small television, I go, what the?
Yeah.
It's great. But even on my small television, I sat there and I was just like, this is amazing. Um, Super excited for the rest of the world to see this movie. Is there anything you would like to add before we log on? Anything promoted or anything we should hype everybody?
Yeah. My son and I, my son Luis Guzmán, we produced this short film that happened to be uh, picked up by Tribeca Film Festival, and we're in the competition, and it's called the West Side Story. I'm really proud of the team of young people that put it together, and proud of Sami for propelling us to where we are. And we gotta also not forget the little guys and really promote them, and because they are the future for some filmmaking. So that's where that's where I'm at with that. So I'm promoting that. It's called the West Side Story, and it will be premiering this June at the Tribeca Film Festival. And I'm really proud of it. Really super proud of it.
We'll have to have you back on after it premieres to chat, but we'll put some links and some advertising up for you. That sounds
I,
awesome.
I appreciate that. We
Anytime.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, this was great. Thank you again for sharing the time with us, and I'll keep the PR team updated once our article goes up in our review with your interview.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you
Have
so
a great
much.
day.
You too. It
Okay.
was a pleasure.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.